gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Hope everyone's doing okay today. Welcome to AstroPrinter. If you haven't been here before, my name is Liam. The channel is all about 3D printing, showing new printers, talking about hanging out with makers, talking about helping them with their problems and so on. So if you haven't here before, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell if you haven't been on the channel before. As you all know, today we're going to be talking about the Fokoos 3D printer, the new one. It's the Odin-5 F3, so we'll get to that. But before we do, I want to have a quick look through the chat, see who's on. So we have Justin. Good morning, Justin, or wherever you are. Dominic, good morning. Or Nadav. Who else is there? Mylan. How are you, sir? Richard Pryor. Let's see. Rene. You kicked your parents out just to hang out. No, that's dedication. Let's see. Carl Fenton. Okay, we have a few people on. More will join now that the stream is live. So, how's everyone's day? And please let me know if the audio and the video is good. Please just let me know in chat so I can tweak anything if anything needs to be tweaked. Just let me know if the audio quality is good and everyone can see everything clearly. Because then we'll get into unboxing this and see how a folding printer functions. See how it goes. It's new. It's been on the market a small amount of time, but not too long. But it looks like a fairly sturdy machine. Small machine, but a sturdy machine. So is the audio and video good, guys? There's about 30-second delay with YouTube is built in by default, so someone just let me know in chat if the audio and video is good. Nobody's in the chatty mood. Okay. Well, we'll see in a moment. Nobody talking. Okay. Hey, Dwayne. How are you? So remember I said if you haven't been on here before, like, subscribe, and ding that bell so you get notified when I do go live. I'm assuming, since no one has said anything, that my audio and video is good. If not, please tell me. If I just look, audio and video is good. Thank you, Renee. Okay, perfect. We're good to go then. So, this is the Fokoos, and it's pronounced focus, like the word focus. It's the Fokoos Odin-5 F3 FDM printer. Thanks, guys, for letting me know that everything's good. All right, so let's go over. Talk a little bit about the printer, about some of its features before we go through the unboxing. So it is a 235 by 235 by 250 print area, 250 being the Z. So that's, well, I would deem that as a small printer. I wouldn't say it's a large, but it's maybe small to medium printer. It's got dual Z rods, which stabilizes your x-axis. It comes with a 32-bit motherboard. It has a direct drive, so no Bowden tube, which is, for its price, is really good. It has 2208 stepper motors, or stepper controllers on the board. It has an STM32 main chip, again, which is impressive for a machine of its size and for its price range. And it comes with a 3.5-inch touchscreen interface, which for $300 is $299.99 on US dollars on Amazon right now. So that's a lot of functionality in a small machine. I think it's a lot of functionality. Most of the others of this size do not come with the 32-bit boards. They do not come with direct drives. They're mostly Bowden tube. They often come with the dial menu, not always with the touchscreen. So there's a lot in this for its price range, I believe. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Diesel, how are you? Carl, yeah. I think Rene is all budgeted out this month. Rene is on the stream, and Rene, for the last couple of streams I've done, minus the last one, when I do a live stream and live unboxing, Rene has bought the printer, so I think he's all bought out for now. What else? 5x5. Thank you, Mylan. Let's see. Hi all in chat. Okay, so let's get into the unboxing. I don't want to delay you. This is a folded printer. It arrives folded up. You take it out of the box, you stand it up, you put in a couple of bolts, a few cables, and you're done. There's no lining anything up. There's no putting all the bits and pieces together. It comes 95% assembled, and I would say it's probably a little bit more than that, since you only put in 4 or 6 bolts and you're finished. So I would say it's more than 95. I'm just checking on the chat. So let's have a look. Normally on printers, they are often too big to fit on my desktop in the box. So I actually take the box, open the box here, put the box aside, and then take the components out and assemble them on the table. But this is small enough to fit on the desk. So let's go through the unboxing. We'll open it up. Unless anybody has any questions, please feel free to chat and chime in and ask questions or chime in on comments. And as we go, I will address them. I do keep track of chat. So let's get this out of, let's see which way is up first of all. Okay. So let's get this out of the box. We'll take out this component first, which is our spool of PLA. Congratulations, by the way, guys. You actually did a spool, not these loose strands that a lot of people do. An actual spool. Even though it's only a quarter spool, that's good. That's a good step in the right direction. Okay, and then over here in the box we have the accessories. So trash. And let's see what's in the accessories box. So in the accessories box we have our user manual, quick start guide, which I'm sure is for setup, and a warranty card. I think we'll look at the quick start guide. The quick start guide actually walks you through. Actually, let me switch over to the close-up so you can see the quick start guide walks you through the setup in a couple of diagrams, which is kind of nice. It's very, very basic. The user manual is pretty detailed. So we'll go over, let's see here. We're going to a page where there's actually content. It gives you a list of all the components. I diagram where everything is, which is, most others do not do that. It tells you how to do your leveling, walks you through the menus. Let's see what else it does. Oh, it tells you they have their own version of a slicer, which is based on Cura, their focus slicer, but it walks you through how to use a slicer. So that's kind of good. Most companies do not give the details like that. So that's kind of good. I like that. I'll put that aside with the warranty card. I might keep that just in case. The quick start guide nearby. So I have some bolts and some T-nuts. Little toolkit. Your nozzle needle. USB cable. I'm assuming these are to terminate some of the 2020 extrusion little caps. Your spool holder, which is kind of small. Spatula. Level cutters. Your spool holder bracket, so these join together. Let's get that done actually. I'm assuming it goes in like that. Your power supply. A USB stick with a micro USB card. Let's see what size this is. No size, so I'm assuming it's the 4 and 8 gig because there's no size actually on it. Spare ribbon cables and 2 spare nozzles. Let me show you in close up actually. So there's your ribbon cable. So let me go. I don't need a ribbon cable unless something's broken. I have level cutters. I probably don't need a spatula right now. I will need this. I probably will need a power supply because I don't have a spare cable plugged in right now. And I'll need these. Okay. Let's put away that and these. Well, let's leave these out in case we do that. Let's see what else. What people are saying. Mika Slave, good, how are you, sir? Let's see. Mika Steve. You're thinking about starting a YouTube channel with your kids. That's a cool idea. Well, long time listener, first time viewer. What is a 3D printer again? You're learning the hard way because Rene's first printer was an IDEX printer, which is a steep learning curve to start off with. But he's doing well with it actually. Just in case you don't know, Rene and a lot of these guys here hang out regularly on they come to my hangouts as well. So we find out what they're doing and how they're doing with their printers and so on. Let's get this unpacked. This is the right way up, I believe. Okay. Let me dump that. And I'll go back to the main screen. Okay. So, foam, gone. Let's unpack this side of the... Everything comes well packed. Nothing in there we need to keep. More foam to be dumped. Nothing in there. And then we have our printer. Flip on the side when you take it out. No, it's good the way it is, but thanks, Holder Proxy. It came out nice and easy. We do have our direct drive here. So let's get this opened. And stand up our Z-axis. Now, to assemble, I'm going to turn it so you can see this with a close-up camera. Let me just bring it over and watch what has to be close-up and what has to be done. So, let's do the close-up camera. And so what you have is, we have 4 bolts that need to go in on each side here and here, on both sides. So, I'm going to unpack these bolts, and this is going to be okay there. Sounds like Alter Proxy's done one of these. Yeah, check the ribbon cables. I will be. Yeah, don't worry. So this is 3 here, and then we have the 4. So I assume this is for the Z-axis. Let's see. Also check the ribbon cable. Oh, Carl, good luck to the rest of the stream, got a dash. Okay, thank you for hanging out, Carl. All the projects yours went together really easy. That's good to know. I assume it's going to be an easy enough build. Let's see. Happy birthday to your daughter. Oh, yes, for Carl's daughter. Happy birthday. Also check a ribbon cable to make sure it's plugged all the way in, as the top bearings might need a little bit of a snug. Yeah, I will. I'll go through a quick check of that. So let's get out our tools. Thank you for the pointers. Apparently someone has already did the unboxing, or they've done an assembly of this before. So let's get the right side Allen key. Okay. So assembly is four of these. Be nicer to make these Allen keys a little bit longer, so make reaching these a little bit easier, but it is what it is. I'll just put them all in loosely for now. So when did you get yours, Alter Proxy? When did you set yours up? You forgot about me? Jerry, that hurts. And I was going to announce everybody about hanging out in your stream later on today. For those who don't know, today is Jerry's birthday for 3D printing and painting, and he's going to have a stream, a hangout stream later on. I think it's 11:45 Eastern, or 11:45 Vegas time. So he's going to be having a hangout on his channel, 3D printing and painting. Just let me light this on its side because it's going to be easier to tighten these up when it's over on its side. Happy birthday, Jerry, by the way. We won't discuss your age, but happy birthday. I think everyone should say happy birthday to Jerry out there. Jerry's a nice guy. If you haven't been on his channel, you should hang out on his channel, but say hi and wish him a happy birthday because it's today. And since 10:45, I think it's 11:45 10:45 Eastern. Yeah, I think it is. No, or 11:45 Eastern, I think. Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, please. 57 socks. Why? It's just the same. It's just another day. It's just one more day more than yesterday. That's the big issue. And then I'm sending out another one. So please, so we have dual Z. So let me take off this foam, get rid of this, and I'll go back to the large screen. Okay, so printer, nice small little printer. It uses clips, which are all right. Let me see. These are okay. They're better than the alligator clips, but come on, we shouldn't be using clips like this anymore. We should be using proper built-in clips that are part of the bed so you don't lose them. I would love you all to get together this week and do a stream together. Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Let me know when you want to do that, Oliver Roxy. I will have some initial prints done today. You'll see one live, but after that I will be doing a couple of prints because I'm going to be doing a full review of this also. Okay. Glass bed, I like that. I like printing on glass. Flex steel is good too. I do like the glass beds, especially when you're doing stuff like PETG and so on, because you could print on the smooth side of the glass and use glue stick for bed adhesion that comes off easy. The reason why I do not like these clips, I'm going to show you. Let me get up to close-up camera. Is here. The clips scratch the textured surface, and they end up scratching the glass. That's why I do not like clips like this. There should be proper clips on the bed. They should slide over, and they should be lined in some way so they don't actually scratch into the bed. Because bare metal scratches the bed. So that's my opinion. In my opinion, and $5 will get you bad coffee. So. But that's why I'm not a big fan of the metal clips, or at least these type of metal clips anyway that are on beds. I'll put one on each side. Manual leveling, yes, it does not have an ABL. There's no ABL on this printer, so it is manual leveling. Wait till you reach 61. Let's see. I would love to do it, yeah, in 3 hours, 15 minutes. Okay, so we'll be done well before that because the assembly on this is done, other than cutting a few clips and setting up some cables. So we'll remove this clip here on Z. Let me go to the main camera. So we have a Z clip here holding a ribbon cable. We have one on the side here, one down here, two and one. Let's do this so you can actually see the close-up on me. So we have one here that needs to come off. That's holding in this ribbon cable. And then we have a few cables to connect. So there's one cable Let's do this one on Z first. So we go back to our main camera. This cable, this needs to connect in here to the side. So I'm going to turn it towards me to make it easier. But it's just a push in. Okay. I will need the wrench because this is loose. But that's okay. That's expected to happen. That can happen. So you get your wrench and you adjust your concentric nuts underneath. There's one here. Just for those who do not know, and most of you do have printers, if you hold the axis and you can spin the wheel with your fingers without the axis moving, you're okay, without it moving too much. If it's hard to move, like you need to be able to spin it with one finger. If you cannot spin it, and that means it's too tight, so you get flat areas. But it should be just snug enough so this wheel can turn. So you have enough, a little bit of, and just barely touching the surface. So that's done. And I have one more ribbon cable to do, which is tucked in here on top. And it plugs in again. This just pushes right in. So be careful with this. Push down. Done. The assembly, besides the end termination caps, which are in a little bag, because these always fall off. That's why they bag them. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. These things are always coming loose. Out of every printer ever, these things fall off. Let me turn this around so it's easier to see. I have to move Z down a fraction. Done. And as other proxy recommended, we should check these and make sure they're snug. And they're okay. Now, so we have to put on our filament holder. Now, I want to see in the guide what they do. Oh, thank you, Mylan. Thank you so much for your donation. Thank you. For those, if you want to support the channel, as Mylan just remind me, thank you. I rarely bring it up. I always forget it. But if you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link, and there's also a Buy Me a Coffee link and a Patreon link below if you want to support the channel. One's off is PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee. The other, the Patreon, is for ongoing if you wish to. Now, also in the link below, you will find the links to Amazon and to the Fokoos web page for the printer. So I want to see which direction they mount their filament holder. To the front or to the rear? To the front. Perfect. Some companies mount their filament holder like this, and their extruders on the front. That's a bad idea, because your filament has to go a weird path to get there. This is the right way to do it. So I've seen instructions going in both directions, and the ones with the instructions of mounting it on the back is a bad idea. It should be in line. Let's see. So Richard Pryor, 51. Manual bed leveling. 8-year-old going. Wait now. Hello everyone. My 8-year-old is going to assemble this later today. Cool. Very cool. I think your 8-year-old will have zero issues assembling this, because there's no real assembly. There's 6 bolts and you're done. So let me get this set up. Put the screws in here, put on our T-nuts. I think your 8-year-old will be able to assemble this without even using the manual. I don't think it's not difficult. I just checked one thing. I've done a lot of printers, but I checked one thing, which is the orientation they recommend for this, and they recommended the right direction. So let's see. I will need this one. These are. Oh, I got the wrong Allen key. The next size down. Let's get this assembled. You know, I would, given the design, it's a nice machine. It looks like a nice design. It's an easy design to use. It's not biting it properly. 1 second. I need to loosen it a little bit more so it gets a good bite on the Z. So it's not turning correctly. Now, the one worry that I've seen is the size of the spool holder. It's a bit small. Now, while it may work, I worry about its strength because it is plastic, and a spool can put a lot of strain in it. Most companies do a beefier spool holder. This is kind of small. Let's see what's out there. And right now we could save $90 ordering through Amazon with Amazon coupon. Let's see, Rena Anderson, so tempting at that price. It is very, very tempting. You already have FDM printers though. You have two. You have one in-house and you have another on the way. Mylan, I hope you're okay again. Yeah, Mylan, yeah, we haven't heard from you in a while. So let's get this on. So this is this will be fine for small spools. But I think with a full spool, I'm a little bit worried about this. Let's see what else is in there. Yeah, it is a big manual, but the manual is mostly about how to set stuff up, rather than like, it's not about building the printer. It's about doing other stuff, and I like that idea. It is a bigger manual than most printers come with. And they're not sending you out to a website to find the instructions. It actually comes built in. Let's put all of this together because I don't want to lose any of it. Spare nozzles. And put it aside. These are trash. I'll put that back in there in a while. And let's get powered up. The filter holder is not blocking filament. Is not a locking folder, so there may be concern to get it. Yeah, that's what I'm worried a little bit about. One, it doesn't lock in place because it can turn beyond its position, but outside of that, it's not very large, and it's kind of, you can see it moving there. So with a full 1 kilo spool, there's a chance that it could tilt, and if anyone tries to put a larger spool than a 1 kilo on it, it could tilt, and there's a chance you could slip off. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, before we go anywhere else, let's check our power supply. I don't see a switch anywhere for changing voltage. So I don't think there's anything in the guide either. So I don't see anything in the guide, but I don't see anywhere where voltage can be changed either. There's a slot in there, but I do not know if it's 110, 220. It doesn't say. There's no indicator on the side. So there's a slot on the side here, with a switch on the main board, but there's no indicator which is 110 or 220. So I am going to check the board, the manual. Like, how many times do you see me look at a manual? But everything else, that should be a label on the outside. Let's have a quick look. Is this, they have instructions on... It says nothing anywhere about doing the switch. Let's see, Filament Holder, we talked about that. Mine needs to go back for surgery. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. So I see nothing here about power regulation switches. So I do not know where the switch is. Well, there is a switch in here, but I do not know what settings it should be on because there's no label to say which is 110 or which is 220. Let me give you a close-up of this so you can see for yourself. Do the close-up camera only. There's a little slot right here, and there's no label on it. And if you look really closely, you'll see a little switch on the inside, but there's no indication which is which. There's nothing. So I'm hoping it's probably set to 110. If it's a 220, it doesn't work, that's okay. For anyone in Europe who gets it and it's set to the wrong way, that's a problem. So let's find out. 220 is safe in the US. We plug in power. And I'm going to peel off this cover because it was stuck in underneath the screen. It's trapped underneath. That's okay, we'll get it later. Okay, so since there is no indicator about power, pray, because I don't know what the settings are. There's no way to adjust it. There's no way to indicate which way to adjust it. Let's see what Alta Proxy said. Okay, no comment. So let's find out. Switch is off. It's fused. Plug it in. Let's go to the main screen. Let's hope there's no smoke because I do not know which way the switch needs to go. So let's find out. Apparently power's up, so that's a good sign. Right, so let's get a close look at the touchscreen. I'm going to bring my close-up camera in here. Oh, knocked it over. Perfect. Find a good position there. Okay, so we have tools, settings, auto load to load filament, and printing. So let's see what's in tools. It's a nice responsive touchscreen actually. We have preheat, extrusion, move axis, home all axis, I'm assuming. Go back to on the folders. More, we'll have a look there in a moment. Filament, leveling. Let's see what's under more. There's nothing under more. Okay, so there's more nothing. Let's go back to settings. So we have Wi-Fi. I'd like to see if this is Wi-Fi connected. I don't know. Let's try it out. I won't do it here, but I will try it as part of the review. Fan speed, about, and I'm sure that's information about the printer. Machine settings, motor off, which is, I assume that's the stepper motors. Languages, let's see what languages are options in there. Oh, there's a lot. There's French, Dutch, English, Russian, Spanish, Italian, and Chinese. Nice. So first of all, let's go to our tools, and we're going to move axis. Let's move our Z down. Let's see if it's functioning. Z is not moving. This is plugged in, right? So let's try something a little bit different and try home. All axes. Okay, it's working. It's quiet. Definitely quiet. Yeah, the icons are actually nice. Z-axis movement is slow, but that's okay. Before I do anything else, let me tighten up on these, because I don't want the head crashing into the bed. And we'll do a leveling in a moment. Since the hot and over I don't think it's an afterthought. No, I think it's just it is a unusual design, but it's because it's direct drive. They've actually mounted the extruder motor under here, so they want the fan. I'm assuming to cool both. Okay, so we're homed. Let's see what we can do about getting this leveled. I'll get a roughly level cold, and then we'll see how it goes. Loosen each of these, get them a little bit slightly touching. Turn off the motors. For those who've never used this printer before or never used a printer before, the reason why I tightened up the screws under the bed before I started the printer and started doing the leveling and homed everything is I don't want the head crashing into this, and then you bring the bed up to it. Okay. Let's do it back. Okay. Oh, this is too tight already. That's better. I'm sorry. I'm driving on the way to post a mail out printer. Oh, nice. So the only thing that I would say that did not like is probably, yeah, the angle is a bit weird. I will admit that. It is a bit of an unusual angle, but see, that's getting tight again. Oh, it's tight in the center here. But this is a little high. But this is okay. Alright, so we're going to heat everything up because we need to move. Let's actually go back and we're going to move Z up. Because I want to load some filament in there. Okay, Mylan. Yeah, maybe. Its cooling may not be sufficient, but that's an easy mod because it's hanging on the outside, so it shouldn't be that hard to modify it. Apparently, the fan is mounted in an unusual position, but we can look at it. It should be easy enough to modify. Could you change this? Oh, I'm sorry. You want to switch over to the small cam? Sure. Like this. But this is just on a menu. Let me show you what I'm doing up here. I'm just leveling the bed, is all I'm doing. So that might be better on the large cam. So I'm going to go heat it up to PLA temps. And then from there, we'll give it a try and load filament. So let's go back. We'll go to settings. I thought it was in settings. It's not. It's in tools. Preheat. or they don't have any preheats in there apparently. So we're going to set the nozzle. Oh, you can choose nozzle or heated bed. So nozzle, temperature. Let me just turn this so I can see it easier for me. Oh, that's when you change. So you do add. Okay, so we bring the bed up to 50 degrees, and when we're going to go change the extrusion, the hot end, to 200 degrees, and let that heat up. And now when that heats up, then we'll do another leveling. We can see that you're actually doing. We can't see. You can, oh, the position of the camera is not ideal. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. I was just setting. So what I was doing here is you choose here between the nozzle or the hotbed, and then you set it for 10 degrees increments, like 1 degree, 5 degree, or 10 degree increments, and then you use a plus or a minus to set the temperature here. And I just did that. I just set the bed to 50 degrees, and I set the hot end to 200. So you see the hotbed there is set to 50, and the nozzle, or called extrusion, and set to 200. Does that work? Okay. Let me find a better angle for that. None of them were good, except there. All right, it's heating up. It seems okay. I'm getting 188, so I'm almost ready for filament. So let me see where their filament starts. Okay, so they taped it on. This is white PLA, and they say 205 to 225. So let's change the extrusion, and we'll change it up to 205 because that's what they're recommending. Winding is not great on the test spool, so we'll see how well it goes. Get it ready to load, push it in, and then we'll go back and we'll do extrusion, and we'll do in, it's extruding. I want to push a little bit of material through it to make sure it's fully primed. Still feeding? No. So once again, in the menu here, you choose the distance you want to extrude, and you choose in. It is feeding. I'm just waiting for it to come out the nozzle. There's a little bit of latent stuff, but I want more than that. There we go. So as you can see, it's starting to extrude material right now. Let's increase that to 10 millimeters. and extrude a bit more. I want a bit more flow on it before I'm ready to print. Let's see, the two comments should have been in the same line. Just hit enter on the... I don't understand what you mean there. Hey, Marcus, how are you this morning? Let's see, you could change... you can't see, oh, you can't see, okay, two comments. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Rennie. So, we're extruding. So, I think we're good to go for a first print. These strings are everywhere. Alright, so we have an SD card. Now I am going to clean the bed down. I haven't done it yet, but I will. So let me put in the SD card on the side. I'm assuming upside down like most printers are. And I do want to do one thing. I need to re-level the bed now that we have some material flowing. And flowing, and flowing, and flowing. Those strings are a pain. I wanted to get some... do I need to clean the bed? No, I need to level it though. And flowing, and flowing, and flowing some more. Right. So we're going to go back and we're going to home everything again. We're going to home the axes. And this time we're going to do it with a piece of paper underneath so I don't damage the bed. Home all. Okay, this is not touching. So I need... Actually, there is an option in here for leveling, but we shouldn't need that. Or maybe we do. So go back. Where are we? Leveling. 0.1. Because the nozzle is slightly off the edge of the corner, so we need to use our leveling points. Okay, that's a little tight. So I'm going to do 2 passes of this. Okay, 0.1. 0.2. Okay, this again is tight. So let's get the... Okay. I'm going to do 2 rounds of this to make sure that it's all covered. And I'm keeping the paper under the nozzle, because if it is too tight, the nozzle will damage the bed. So I'm covering it to protect the bed. Point 3 is a little bit. New 0.4. So, anyone have any questions so far? Pretty straightforward setup. And as Alder Proxy said, he's going to have his kid do the setup later on, which will be fine. I think it does say, now the document does say, if you look at the back of the guide, it does state children under 16 should be allowed to operate alone. So make sure you're around. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Cool. Let's see what else. Any other comments there? No. Okay, I didn't miss anything. That's good. Let's see. This is way off. Okay, that's about right. So how's everyone else? How's everyone doing on this Saturday morning or wherever you are, Saturday afternoon or evening, depending where you are in the world. I know we have a few people in the UK who are, it's their late afternoon right now. I'd love to see the XYZ cube printed on one of these. I don't know what's on the SD card. If there is a cube there, I will print that as my first one because it's a fast print to do. Obviously I will be following up with a full review later on. Now, wait for it. I might do one more round because there's a lot out there in that pass. Again, it's not quite a lot. Yeah, I'm going to do one more pass. It made me wonder whether the x-axis is actually, or the z-axis is straight. I'll have to check it. Yeah, 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 oh, this is awful lot. The last part is a big one. I think 2.5 days of print. 2.5 days is not bad. It's not a bad print. Okay, there's a problem there. Now that's too loose. No matter how much I loosen this, I'm thinking this axis is not straight. So I may do a print anyway to see how it goes, but I'm feeling this is not 100% upright. Because that's loose and it's still not touching. So I may have to check the square of the axis, because there is some play in these brackets. And again, that's tight. So yeah, I think this might be off a little bit. We might give it a try and see. I'll probably have to come in and get a square and check the squareness of this. I'm going to check that one more time. Then I need to print. Okay, let's see. And then I need to reprint the hitting part of the maze. Oh, that's the one you showed us before. That's gone tight again. This is the fun part of 3D printing, guys. Trimming your bed, trimming your bed. Oh yeah, and there's trimming your bed. That's a little bit loose. We're getting there. But I do think my Z end stop may need to be moved a little bit, because it's not homing where I hoped it would. One corner is too loose. No matter how much I loosen it, actually, it doesn't sit on the bed. See, that's completely free. And the screw is almost 100% free. Yeah, it's there. It's just barely catching it now. Yeah, that may not be. Either this is not 100% square, or this is not. But that's okay. That's an easy fix. 5-day print. 5-day print is a good print. I've done many of those. As long as your printer is, as long as you got stable power, you should be fine. And as with all printers, take the necessary precautions. Yeah, I don't think my Z or my x-axis is properly leveled. Let me check that. Because one side is loose and one side is tight. So I'm going to do it off the bed. Roughly 9 centimeters on that side. And on this side, it's about the same. I'll have to do a bit more investigating why one side is looser than the other. But I'll look at it. But we can get it printing, I think. I think we should be okay to print. So let's get it back over to the front home position, and then we'll see how it goes with the first print. Again, that's loose. Okay, we're close enough. And I want to do 0.5 in the center of the bed where the print will start anyway. I want to make sure this is good. If the outer corners are good and the center is a little tight, so I need to tighten down on all of these. So it may not be 100% flat in the center. That's a little bit better than what it was. It's okay. So let's go back and we'll home all access again, and then we'll get ready for print. So let's see what's on the SD card. So we'll go to printing. I'm going to turn this towards me. I'm going to bring this camera over here so you can see better. There you go. So G code. So we have the cat, we have a benchy. The cat hollowed. So what you want to print? So we'll do the benchy or the cat. It seems to be the only. Some of these others might take a little bit longer. Like the Pikachu might take a little bit longer. The vase mode will take a couple of hours. So I won't do that as a test print. So guys, what you want? You want to do the owl, the double owl, which takes a little bit longer. They do have some test prints though, but they do have a benchy. Will we kick off a benchy? Let's see. I haven't had a need for that huge print yet. Well, that's everyone varies. Some people only use miniatures on prints, so I do a lot of big stuff. Rene says benchy. Anybody else? Vote. Tell me what you want to see. Do you want to see a benchy as a first print? Do you want to see a whatever? Just tell me. I've only got one vote for benchy. So if you want to choose benchy, okay. Richard says owl. So we have 1 for 1. Anybody else want to chime in and vote? What you want to see? Do you want to see the benchy, the owl as a first print? Let me know. I have one vote for benchy, 1 vote for owl. Owl single. Okay, that's 2 for owl. Owl is winning. Anybody else? Actually, I'm going to get this box. See, after you do it as an assembly, this box is good for one thing. So you can actually watch your printer printing. Let me park it on this side because it's probably going to be a better view there. And you can see what's going on. Owl single it is, okay. Owl single. So owl on his own, on his lonesome. So with or without a hat. Let's take without a hat for now, because it's got good points to the ears. It'll give it a good idea of the print quality. Confirm. It says it's going to take, it doesn't give a time, 50 bed, 205 nozzle, which is what we have already set. So we should be very close. Nozzle needs to come up a little bit, or 60 bed it's using. Okay, that's kind of hot for PLA. Let's see if I can change that. Options. I think 60 on the bed is a bit hot. Temp. I'll leave it for now, but I think 60 is a bit hot for PLA. That'd be more of a TPU or PETG temperature for your nozzle or for your hotbed. So let's see how the first print goes. I didn't do anything. Most people who get new printers don't think about cleaning the beds and so on. I didn't clean the bed. I just use it as is to see how it comes out. If it doesn't stick, then I'll go get the IPA to clean the bed down. Yeah, the owl is a good. The owl is a good test because it's got a pointy ears. It'll give you some idea of details. Benchy is also good. The reason why Benchy is good is if you do two benchies in different orientations on the bed, and separate prints, like one will be facing left, one will be facing right, or whatever, changes orientation. The chimney of the benchy, right behind the benchy, there's a little dent. Do I have one here? I have one here. This is an example of a really bad quality print. But if you look at it, the little hole back here behind the benchy, behind the wheelhouse, if you turn them upside down, like one this way, and you invert the other one and plug it in, the chimney should fit in here exactly. The chimney should fit in here. They should actually lock together, one on top of the other, inverted. So you invert one and they should plug together. First layer is looking okay. So that goes to show two things. One, the print quality is pretty good, but you can tell from the outside. But it also gives you an idea of dimensional accuracy. If they do plug together, it shows that your printer is dimensionally accurate. So that's why I like using, I tend to use a lot of benches. I used not to do benches. I used to do all like temp towers, my first prints and so on. But for when I started doing reviews, the bench is a good idea because it does show that dimensional accuracy. Right now, once we're finished here, I'm gonna go out and get the last piece of my resin print because I unboxed a resin printer last week, and I spent the whole week printing parts for the review. And it was actually one component. I'll give you a preview of it actually. Hold on one moment. Let me get you a preview of it. So this is going to be, so the first layer is going down okay. There's a little bit of gap, but it's okay. It's not, the layers are pretty decent. So for the review that I'm working on for the resin printer, let me go to full cam for a moment. I'll do the close up with the main camera, and you can still watch that. I'm actually doing a bust of Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. So this is the main body. This is one of the arms. Different color, different types of resin. And I have a hand and all this kind of stuff. And I'm actually printing her left arm right now. And this is, after a bit of clean up, this is going to be the head, and I have the hair cut for the back and so on. So this is my resin print I'm doing for my test of the resin printer, and so far it's looking good. So you got a preview of it before even the manufacturers have. So that's when, once I'm done here, I'll be taking that off to print. I will start off another print here, and then I will go and start working on getting that resin, the last piece of that resin print off the build plate. It finished during the night, so I'll be ready to go. Let's see. I try to use the owl these days. Okay, rather than the boat. Yeah, well, the benchy is, as I said, it has dimensional accuracy is good part of it. That's why a lot of people use benchies, because you can plug them together. It shows dimensional accuracy. But whatever works for you is what works for you as your test prints. The owls are often fast prints, and this printer is printing pretty fast. The head is moving pretty fast. So let's have a close-up. Let's see, I do the close-up camera, and let's have it go in and see what the first layer is looking like. That's layer 2. It's a little bit far from the bed, but I think it's okay. Let's see how the print goes. This is the base for it anyway, so I don't care. It's more about the rest of the print that I care about. Cable. Anyone have any questions? Any comments? The setup of this was very easy. So to have a kid set this up with you supervising would not be an issue. I would also say that to have it's a small printer, it's a good starter printer, by the looks of it. Now, I'm not giving a recommendation. I haven't really tested the printer yet, but it appears to be an easy printer to set up. For young kids, these clips needed are dangerous. They can be very sharp. they can cut fingers, right? So you can snag your finger on these and cut your hand. So be very careful, especially having young kids do this. Help them with the bed if you're going to go into that. Clip it together for them, have it set up and ready for them, and then they can run their prints. And you actually should monitor them, but because you are dealing with hot surfaces. But overall, it's an easy machine, and a kid would be happy to assemble this, I think. But let's see how it does on overall prints, because I'm going to do some larger prints on this. I'm probably going to stress this the Z height somewhat to see how it does. Let's see. I got to use my resin printer during the week for the first time due to having emphysema. Oh yeah, well you should never have it in your house because the fumes can actually could aggregate that, so be careful. Well, the resins don't bother me. It's more cleaning the prints. Well, here's what I recommend for cleaning your prints, right? I would recommend a sonic cleaner, an ultrasonic cleaner, and a lot of people use stuff like mean green because there's some alcohol in the mean green, and it's a general cleaner, general purpose cleaner. So, and if you put the part directly into, or you put the mean green directly into the ultrasonic cleaner, you'll get gunk building up on the bottom, because as it removes the resin will settle on the bottom at the end, and if you reuse it, then it stirs up again, right? So I would recommend get mean green and a 1 gallon Ziploc bag. Put your parts into a 1 gallon Ziploc bag with mean green, and then your ultrasonic cleaner, fill it about halfway or so with water, and then put the bag into the water, and then use your ultrasonic cleaner. No heating, just ultrasonic, and what that will do is it will actually take most of the heavy resin off the print, and then but it will stay in the Ziploc bag with the mean green. So when you take it out, your ultrasonic cleaner is still clean, and then rinse it off with spray IPA, and then put it into an IPA mixture where it actually stirs it around and cleans it. Also, a good tip that I got from Jerry actually was a toothbrush. When the part comes out of the IPA, get a toothbrush, scrub down the part to make sure all the IPA is removed, the loose IPA is removed, and then rinse it again once more in IPA. So you can do a multiple stage process. Wear gloves, especially, okay? But do a multiple stage process, and then and only then cure it. Don't cure it beforehand. If you cure it and you have some shiny spots, it means there was some resin left on the outside that you didn't clean off when you cured it. So you get some shiny spots. And large parts, hollow them out. You might need to put structure on the inside. Hollow them out and then turn on supports. Another tip from Jerry, 3D printing and painting, because he does a lot of more resin printing than I do. And if you turn on supports after hollowing, it builds support structure inside to support the part, which is what you need when you're printing. Because if you don't, and you're printing, because you print upside down, sometimes some of the internal components need supports to make so they print properly, because they're printing on air. So doing supports after hollowing is probably the right way to go. And put drain holes in there and flush it out. I use a syringe, and you get IPA and inject it into it, then wash it around and then let it drain out, and do that multiple times. Let your part dry, or if you have compressed air, blow it out, and then let it dry overnight before curing. But it doesn't have to be that messy. There's a couple of stages you have to go through, but if you follow the stages, wearing gloves at all times, you should be fine. Is it a Chinese printer? Yes, it is a Chinese printer. So you can wear a face mask if you're worried about the fumes, but I don't print resin in winter. I only print it in late spring, summer, when the weather's warm enough, and I have my printer in my garage. Right now, the printer is in the garage, because that way then there's no fumes in the house. I'm not really sensitive to the fumes so much. Other members of my family are, and I get a really good sense of smell anyway, but they don't bother me, but other people it does, so you're better off to use it outside in a garage somewhere, somewhere you don't get direct UV light, but you should be fine if you do that. Rene, do you recommend glass bed over the one that came with the Artist Steel? No, well, the Flex Steel has a lot of benefits. So the Flex Steel is good for prints. You can actually bend it and get it off. You do not have to use a scraper to get the part off a bed. If you're using a glass bed, I really like glass beds for many reasons. I like flex steel also. The glass bed is great if you're doing PETG. The reason why I say that is because PETG needs a release agent, but you get really, really smooth surfaces. Now you can get flex steel beds, not the one that come with the RDC, but third party that are not coated with the plastic coating on top. They're just pure steel, and they have a PEI sheet, either smooth or rough PEI sheet. They're really good, and they flex really easy, and they get the parts off it. But always make sure it's fully cooled before you take the part off it. Even the same applies for glass. Half the time on glass, when it's fully cooled, the part will pop off just by grabbing it and twist and pull. If it doesn't, use a scraper. But scrapers are not so good for the textured surface because they can scratch it up. Which is why I like my NR5 Plus, which is over here. I do a lot of printing of PETG on that, and I print on the smooth side because I need to use a scraper to get the PETG off the bed. So I always print on the smooth side of the glass. I flip it over. Then the Layersmith, that's not Chinese. What's not Chinese? That's a good point. Actually, a lot of printers are Chinese. There are some US manufacturers, like Lulzbot is a US manufacturer. There's a lot of others that are out there. They aim for higher standards and higher qualities in a lot of cases, and different components, which is why they charge a lot more for the machines. Like Lulzbot do charge more. Prusa is not Chinese. It's European. It's Eastern European. Again, it's a really good quality printer. So there are non-Chinese brands if you want to look for a non-Chinese brand. This is. Does the Ziploc buffer the sonic waves? No, it does not, because they're liquid and liquid, so it'll actually transfer from one to the other. Let's see. The Layersmith, how are you? How is the app going? What app are you? Sorry, you're talking to Marcus. Okay. Hey Matt, how are you? Let's see, 20,000 downloads. If you haven't checked it out, Marcus, Ethan's dad, he, as you see here in chat, he has for iPhone 10, I believe, and higher, he's got a 3D scanning app for the iPhone where so it actually uses the LiDAR on the front-facing camera to actually 3D scan. It's really cool. I've used it a few times and I like it. It's not really good for really small objects because it's not designed for that. But for anything that's sizable, like size of your hand or whatever, or bigger, or people or whatever, it's really, really good for that. It's a good app. You should check it out. I'm not sure. I can't remember the name of your what the company's called on the app marketplace. And Marcus, post the name there in chat so people can actually go check it out for you. Check out your app. It's really good. And it's only for iPhone 10 or higher, I believe. Let's see. I have 4 resin printers, been using them for 5 years, love them. Oh, and emphasizing is from smoking over 40 years. Or the emphasizing is from smoking over 40 years, not from printing. Yeah, I know. My mom had it for the exact same reason. So emphysema is not cool. That's what my mom died from. But yeah, I know the emphysema is smoking related. But yes, you wash your help with resin printers. Always use a mask. Nitrile gloves. Nitrile or vinyl gloves. Vinyl gloves will work as well. So because they're both impervious to resin. Some plain rubber is not good, but nitrile works, and vinyl gloves also work. For the 3D scanning app, search EM3D. That's the name of it. EM3D on your Apple store, and the scanning app is out there. It's a really good app. As I said, I've used it. There's others on who hang out with me on streams and so on have used the app. Marcus often comes in and joins us on my live streams, on my hangouts on Wednesdays. So if you want to ask questions about it, you can chat away there if you want to ask. Or on Wednesday at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time, I do hangouts here on my channel. So you can always come in and chat there. And during the hangouts, you can come in and join the conversation on screen if you want to. and engage. If Marcus is on, if you want to talk about his app or talk about anything with us, everybody's welcome. So those who are out there, if you have not liked, subscribed, and ding that bell, please do so now. It helps promote the channel. Those thumbs up actually make a big difference in the Google Analytics to boost your ratings. So please do so. And also, if you look at the bottom of the screen, there is a little notice there that if you want to support the channel, you can actually support through PayPal. I also, in the links below, I have my Buy Me a Coffee. You can do it through there, or you can sign up for my Patreon if you want to do an ongoing support. But I do get a lot of printers that others don't get, or I get them like early bird printers. I get a lot of Kickstarter machines. This is not a Kickstarter, but I do get a lot of Kickstarter machines. I just unboxed one last week, which no one else has shown yet. I've done a few first-time live unboxes and setups of machines that no one else has seen, and I do have a few more coming up this summer. Some that no one else has seen again, and probably no one else will see for a while yet. So please like, subscribe, and ding the bell so you get notified when I do go live with those live unboxings. For the 3D and scanning app, okay. So if any printer, so far the print looks good. Let me give you a close up of this. Let's go to the close up. So that print looks good. That's a very dense infill, but it seems to be pretty okay, and it's printing pretty fast. Do I see any layer shifting? No, it looks okay. It looks okay from this point of view. I feel strong. Yes, Rene, you're having a day today where we are not giving into your purchasing. As I said earlier on, Rene has been on a couple of my streams, live unboxings, and he's bought printers during my live unboxing. So the fact that he hasn't bought one today, I will say more power to you to actually be able to fight it. But you have a printer that's bigger than this, and your first printer is an IDEX, so you started out on the higher end, I would say, and but you are in the market for a resin printer. We've already discussed that, so there is, but we've had that conversation already. Quality looks decent on the print. It does actually look good. Unfortunately, not 3D modern. No, mine it's Android or it's Apple only, because he's a native iOS developer, Marcus is, so he's developed it for just for Apple devices. The quality does look print. Does the I do like the ribbon. I don't know. It's not a rubber layer. It's plastic. It's a plastic coating on the outside. So some other printers, like the JG Maker Artist D that I have, it's over here. That has actually kind of rubberized ribbons. These are plastic, so they're not rubber. I don't think they are anyway. Ribbons are great for being tidy. They can break over time, right? That's why you get spares with most printers. And they're easy to replace because you basically slot one thing out, push it in, and you're done. Some of them have connectors where they clip in a little bit more. These are just slot-in connectors. Let's see, and the second printer is a forehead. The second printer is a forehead thingy. Oh, right. So you're referring to your eCube Maker printer that you bought as well, which is a Kickstarter which you're waiting on in the ship. Yes, it is 4-in-1, so it's a single extruder, a dual extruder, and you switch out the heads. It's a tool change. It's not an automatic tool change; it's a manual tool change, but you switch out the heads, and then it has a laser, and then it also has a CNC head. Shame they fluffed up. It kind of looks like, well, I don't think it's rubber dipped. If actually, I don't know if anyone from Fokoos is actually on the stream. If you are, chime in. I know you were saying you are excited about it on yesterday on chat. So if you're on the chat, chime in. Are these rubber coated or like a stiffer rubber, or are they plastic coating? I think they feel plastic, but that's my impression. Rubber, yeah, some of the others have like a latex coating on it, which actually does, it actually feels good. But as long as the cable's not moving too much, they'll last. The only thing about it, when this reaches the top of Z, this will get a bit of a workout. You can't see that here, or you can in the small camera. This is a bit of a bend here from the way is installed, and this will probably get a bit of a workout, and this would probably be the weak point. And on the x-axis, I would say maybe this area here. When it goes all the way over, there'll be more of a bend created here, so chances are. But that's why you get spares, right? So to cover you, to make sure that you don't run into that problem. And if you do, you can switch the change out and order replacements. These are deemed consumables, right? Cables break on every printer, whether it's ribbon or not. Having rubber, it would help a little bit. It would make it a little bit better, but there's nothing much going to move here. I don't know. I don't think so, because these are kind of taped on all the way up, and then so I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. But you do have spares, so if it breaks, switch it out. Order the replacements. They're not expensive. Like for a $400 for a $300 printer, it's printing well, and it's direct drive. It's quite the noisiest part is the fan in the base, the fan for the main board, because 32-bit board and 2208 steppers, you need to move a lot of air to cool that. And it's not the back fan. There's a fan inside over the board, blowing air across the board. That is the noisiest part of the printer. So, or other than that, the printer is very quiet. But you do hear the fan, and you need to have that fan to move that amount of air. If you change the fan to a quieter fan, a lot of people like to go to Noctura fans, which are very quiet, but the problem is they do move less air, and if they're not moving enough air to cool those steppers, you'll overheat the steppers, and that will cause a whole pile of problems. If they are here listening, it would also be good to have another cooling unit on both sides of the nozzle. Yeah, you know what? I might talk with a friend of ours to see. Those who haven't come to my hangouts, have any of you heard of the Petsfang cooling systems that are out there for lots of different types of printers? Well, the guy who creates those, Dave Petzel, and I don't know if you're out there, Dave, you often are, but if you're not out there, Dave Petzel designs those, and it might be not a bad idea to get this design to Dave, and maybe I'll reach out to the company and see if they'll give me the design files for this, and I can get them to Dave, and Dave might come up with a different design to put a larger fan to move better air, because Dave is open to doing that for the community. He does it all. They're out on. If you look up Petsfang on Thingiverse, there's a whole pile of different cooling systems for different printers that he has designed, and he's made it freely available, and it's fantastic. So, and he'd be open to actually looking into designing something for this, I'm sure. If we can get the design files to him, he could take that and then he can build his around it. So I will reach out to the company to see if they'll give me the design file for this cooling area, this cooling system, and let's see if we can get Dave to design a better one. And maybe in the future printer they might talk with Dave and work on come up with a design that will work for their printers. But I'll talk with Dave about it. He might be open to doing so if he's available. Let's see. I do like the direct drive. The direct drive is the direct drive with a 2040 extrusion like you have here is the right way to do it. Some companies do a direct drive on a 2020. I think that's not a good idea because it's a lot of weight hanging off such small extrusion and actually puts a lot of strain on those wheels. 2040 extrusion, and if the motor is set high enough that it's actually in line with the extrusion, so as the motor moves, the weight is evenly balanced across there, not put down below and hanging off. But it works fine. And the hot end, their heat block is a longer heat block than normal, which is why they use the longer nozzles. So it's that means you're actually melting more material, so you can print that bit faster. You can push more material through. So that's a good idea. It's kind of like it's not the same as, but it's kind of along the lines of the Volcano, which has a longer heat block. So therefore you can melt more material, which I like, because that allows you to print faster. Now, there's good and bad with direct drives. Printing really fast with a direct drive can create ringing, because of all that inertia of moving all that weight over and back across the x-axis. So ringing is often a problem with direct drives. Not always, but the faster you go, the more chance you're going to run into ringing issues. Whereas a Bowden, you don't run into that because it's a lighter hot end, so there's less inertia, there's less force needed to move stuff over and back, and there's less, and because of that inertia is lower, you have less chance of introducing ringing. Through a direct drive, you can't go as fast as a Bowden. Yes, I agree, which is what I just covered, because the mass you're moving, there's no motor here, the motor's off to the back in the Bowden, so you're only moving the light print head, so the amount of mass you're moving is less. So the amount of inertia created by that mass, I'm getting into the science, I'm a science geek, is a lot less needed, and you can stop it faster. When you have a direct drive, the amount of weight on the front, on the motor, for the extruder, that motor's been moved. So when you try and stop it, it's like driving a car. When you hit the brakes, the car slows down, but you move forward. Same effect with this. When you try and stop it, it wants to keep moving in one direction, and when you're trying to stop it, you're overcoming that inertia. So it does make a difference. I need a dual cooling for Ender 3. Check out Petsfang on Thingiverse. He probably already has one out there. He's done an awful lot for the Enders. So check. He may already have out there, and you can just print it yourself, and then you might have to buy some additional fans, but and they're cheap, and then you can just add it into your printer. So check it out on Thingiverse. There may already know. I think there probably is already one out there, and he's come up with a new one now. I can't remember what he calls it, but he's come up with a newer, bigger cooling system. And it fits a lot of printers, so check it out. He probably already has one out there. Remember, folks, some support and that thumbs up. And if you're new, hit yes. Thank you, TK. Yes, if you thumbs up, like, subscribe, ding that bell so you get notified. Remember, I do casual hangouts on Wednesdays, and I do a live unboxing. So, and those thumbs up make a big difference. And subscribe actually also helps. And the more people that subscribe to my channel, the more companies want to deal with me, so the more I can bring to you. All right. So a lot of companies have very high requirements on who they will deal with and the number of subscribers in your channel. Some are something like 10,000, and I'm a long way from that. But every new subscriber helps. It increases my visibility with these companies, and the more visibility I get, the more machines I get to review, and the more I get to show you. Not only review, but also live unboxings and setups. So far, there's a way to go in this print, but it looks good. It's 12:28 right now. Okay. So, any questions? Any ideas? This says it's going 30 minutes and there's only 4%, so this is going to be a long print. So you can decide. You tell me. Do you want to wait around until this print's done? It doesn't say how long, but since it's only 4% in, after a half an hour, it's going to be a couple of hours of a print. I will post on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter the finished product when it finishes. If you don't want to hang around for the next couple of hours. And as I said, Jerry is going live in a couple of hours as well. He's doing a hangout. We can go in and chat with him, and we can all get in and chat together and so on. But he is doing a live hangout, so if for his birthday. So if anyone wants to join the hangout, please check out 3D Printing and Painting. The link is in his channel. It's in his group, 3DHP, and we'll see you online there if you want to come hang out and chat with Jerry. Jerry's got a lot of cool stuff. He does an awful lot of resin printing. He's also doing the droid builds, which I've started doing some as well. I'll be doing some work on that tomorrow. I did a lot of painting, a lot of filling our filler primer yesterday, and some sanding. I'll have to finish off the sanding and get painting on it. but and then I'll start working on my electronics. I'll probably spend tomorrow on my electronics. Let's see. There is a PETS for the Ender 3. Yeah, there is. I'm sure there was anyway. That's what I love about resin printers. Let's go back to. Let's turn this off. Let's do this one. That's what I love about resin printers. Printed a new cooling unit for my Omega 3. i3, okay. Using foil to do. Well, you don't. Well, cooling fan systems, they can be done in PLA. You don't need to have. You don't need to have high temperature tolerant materials. You can do them in PLA. PETG is probably better, but not PLA. You don't have to use high temp materials for cooling fan because they're moving so much air. They're not really going to get heated by the nozzle anyway because they're cooling themselves. Okay, average prior. Okay, so you're going looking for it, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with the. You don't need high temperature materials. You only need high temperature if you're actually touching the nozzle, and you're not. It's a couple of millimeters away, and it cools itself while the printer is running anyway. So it's rarely a problem. I've seen a lot of people doing PLA for cooling systems, and they work fine for years. I've used PLA a few times and it works, and sometimes I've changed and I've done PETG, which works better, but it lasts that a bit longer. It's a stronger print, but PLA works fine for most cooling systems. I think Dave prints all of his in PETG. So this is looking okay as a print quality. Let me get you a. There's a bit of the infills failing right here, but it's okay. The rest of it is fine. I think this is where it's starting out. It's just priming the nozzle at it, but that's okay. And there's a lot of walls on this part to make it strong, which is a little bit overdone. You don't need walls that thick for something that's only going to stand on the shelf. So let me see. What does it say here? Well, I used to do it more with the flow, with a smoother print. Yeah, you get really smooth prints out of resin. You do have layers, but the layers are smaller and the details more impressive. And some of the older resins, you could see you could see the layers a bit more. But the new ones, 2Ks and 4Ks, and even some of the new there's some 6Ks. And I think some 8K resin printers coming out there. At that resolution, like for anything over 2K, you're not really going to see much. The quality is going to be almost perfectly smooth. Flow of air. Yeah. The whole thing about cooling systems is about building up enough air pressure in a chamber, so when it comes out consistently. It's not dependent on the fan to always keep the flow 100%. So if you talk, Dave will go into the science, and he's done it once or twice on my channel, and he's got a YouTube channel of his own, Dave Petzel. But it's all about having a chamber inside in the air system that you build up enough air pressure in there so the flow coming out is consistent, and the fan just basically keeps that air pressure built up in that chamber. Is what it works. Is how he designs them. Not bad for a precise slide at the end of the day, with a little tweaking in the slicer, and Bob Drunk. Yeah, I think it looks okay. Like again, I'm only seeing the base. I don't feel any. It feels pretty smooth, but it does have a ways to go before it's ready. But all in all, it's good. Let me see what it looks like from here. It looks like a pretty smooth print. I think they're doing a very fine layer height. But it looks like a pretty good, smooth print. I would say they're probably doing a 1.2 because I'd say it's a 1.2 layer height or a 0.12 layer height is what my guess is. It doesn't seem to be anything coarser than that, but that's why it's moving so slowly. We're at 5%. So I don't know if you want to stick around for it all. You let me know. My guess is we let it print, let it finish, and I'll post pictures of the result. I'll leave it on the bed and I'll post pictures of it when it's finished. But the Fokoos Odin, I think it's so far it looks good. Looks good quality. I will beat it up, obviously, which is what I like to do. I like to do stress testing and overhang tests and so on it, and then do some vase mode and some fairly larger prints on vase mode, especially to see how it does as it reaches the top of Z. But it's it prints out of the box, and it prints with ease. I will have to check some accuracy of the gantry and so on, because that leveling, the screws on this side on the bed are all the way loose, and over here they're fairly tight, and so it varies. So maybe it's not a 100% flat bed. I'll have to look at that, and maybe it's it could be that I just need to level some gantries, but that should be small. The resin printer is 0.047 millimeter layer. No, resin printers do 0.005 on the 8K roughly. I think it's 0.005, which is the smallest layer, which means it really extends the amount of time it takes to print, but the quality is fantastic. I showed you some of the ones. I'll show you again, one moment. Now there's some marks on this because I sanded off some support points that I had to remove. So if you want to look, let me turn the camera here. Like, there is some white marks there because I did sand off. There was some support structure coming up and touching. So I did sand it off. But you can even see how close they are. If you look at the hair, some of these strands of hair are actually not touching the main part. They're slightly above, right? You can see the detail. Now ignore the white stuff. As I said, I did sand a little bit because I had some support structure under the chin and a few areas that I had to remove. So yeah, it will resin will do 0.01, and it will actually go below that most, and the 4K or the 4K resins. So the detail on this from a resin is phenomenal, right? So ignore that white stuff will be gone once I prime it. Give it a dust off and prime it. Initial questions about worry about the design of the printer. I would say I think the spool holder might be a little bit on the flimsy side, and like this part especially because it turns all the way and goes off. You put it in and it doesn't lock in place. It can rotate beyond and come out to be unlocked. And with a heavy spool on that's rotating, it could eventually cause this to turn. And if that happens, this could unlock itself and fall. There's a risk. I didn't say it, and I'm saying it will, but there's always a risk of it loosening itself and falling off. Also, the spool holder is small, so a full-size spool. Let me get one. I'm going to take this off while it's printing, so don't do this at home, guys. A full-size spool, it's okay, it just fits it, but I'm still worried that it might be, it's a bit soft, you know. Any tugging on that could cause the spool to pop off. This should be a little higher. The brim on the outside could be a little bit wider to prevent that, and I think the bracket could be a little bit stronger, but I would have probably made this bigger, a little bit bigger, and I would have made it so it locks in one way and does not loosen. There's no way to rotate through, which you can do right now. It may be a problem, may not be a problem, but other than that, I like the dual Z. I like the dual stepper motors. I think it has 2 end stops. No, it's got 1 end stop there. It's only got 1 end stop. If it had two end stops and you homed, you can actually home each Z independently to get the X gantry level, but it doesn't have that. But for a $300 printer, right, you can't expect to have all the bells and whistles. I like the wide stance on the Z. Even for a small printer, you have got two. You can't see them very well there. You got these. You got two here, which gives it better support. This bolt right here is your tensioner for your Y-axis, which is nice. You can actually tension your Y-axis belt. You also have one similar on the X-axis out here to tension your X-axis. So that's built in is really nice. So a lot of printers don't come with that for this price range. I don't see any immediate concerns. This is the biggest concern I would say that I would be worried about this becoming a problem. Other than that, initially I don't see anything. Cooling could be better. It's kind of not blowing. The cooling fan could be better, but all in all, it's fine. And it does need a label on the outside here, on the side where your the switch is actually on the main board. So the switch, instead of the switch for voltage being facing you, it's actually hanging on the board. So your switch, you're actually moving a toggle up and down. That's actually on the board upside down, and there's no indicator on the outside about the voltage setting. So you cannot tell which one is which. I think that should be labeled. But that's probably the biggest concern of all, especially if you get one that's set incorrectly. If it's set at if it's set at 220 and shipped to the US, it's fine, because it just won't power up properly. If you set, and then you can always move the switch, and then it'll work better, right? It'll work fine. If it's set at 110 by mistake and shipped to 220 countries, you plug it in, switch is wrong, dead printer, because you let out the magic smoke. You'll kill the printer, okay? So that should be labeled. Let's see. So PJ and I had a few. I was reading the review of Amazon that someone was savaging the design. But the 4 screws without opening the bottle, the bottle seems like they only screw into the sheet metal. They do screw. Yeah, I haven't opened it up yet. I will check that out. They are short screws. The chances are they are only screwing into the metal. So that could be a point, but I can't make a call on that because I haven't actually opened it. But I will pop the bottom off it as part of my review to see what it's like inside. That should be going in, not into sheet metal. It should be going into 2020 or 2040 extrusion, ideally. Hey non-fam, how are you? But it isn't a question about how many. Let's see. But it isn't a question of how many that is made. I'm not sure about what you mean, Renee. Please explain, and we can talk about it. But so yeah, going into sheet metal, that is a weak point. It should be going into extrusion to give more rigidity. So that is a good point. I haven't dug into the printer that deep. You've seen what I've seen, so. But general consensus. Initially, it looks like an okay printer. It's printing okay right now. It's printing fine. I don't see any problems with the print as it stands right now. But we will test it more. And I will open it up. I will examine how everything is assembled on the inside. But I don't think it's that bad. I've seen well worse. The Z best support rest thingy. Okay, I don't know what the Z best support rest thingy is. Or the Z belt support. Oh, there's no Z belt, there's Z screws. And if we're talking about the X and the Y axis belts, tensioners, that is nice to have. These plugging in I don't think they'll become much of a problem, but these connectors can eventually, they can wear and break. And the ribbons, obviously, that's why you get spares, because ribbons have a tendency to fail. They work hardened because they're metal, and they over bending and straightening over time. Metal work hardens, and work hardened means it will snap eventually. But bed adhesion seems to be okay. So I think it's not. Is it the perfect printer? No. Why would you like? Is a folding printer the perfect printer? No. I don't even know why you'd need a folding printer, but I understand the reason why. Like they're trying to simplify it for new users, and it does simplify the process. Now the other consideration is if where the pivot point for the Z gantry is connected, how is it connected on the inside, which we'll only know when we open it up. But if it's connected to something more solid on the inside, then just screwing in into the sheet metal may not be so bad because it's got a central point of rigidity. If it is really a central point of rigidity, which we won't know till we open it. But so structurally that may not be as big as an issue, but I have to see the inside to really make a call on that. Oh, it's not. So it's actually, that's also into the sheet metal. I would deem that a weak point. Now the first printer, you have young people anywhere between ages of 7 and 16. As it's not a bad intro printer, and it's an easy one to set up. A kid could easily set it up, and it'll get introduced into the mechanics somewhat. So yeah, but I will look under the hood to get a better idea. Actually, I'll probably do it today. I'll take photographs today when this print is done. I'll pop it over, open it up, and show you how this is actually mounted, so you can make a call for yourself. But if it is into the metal extrusion, unless that metal extrusion is thick, you do have a weak point, because metal extrusion, as anyone has ever assembled and disassembled and assembled multiple times something that's on metal framing like this, it is sheet metal is thin, and the threads do go bad on them. So right, the YX, but the prices are always going to be cheaper and rather than made from one thing. Yes. So you're referring back to your printer that you're waiting on that has the 4 print heads, the 4 different heads. Then yes, if it's a single use, they're often cheaper. When you start adding multiple components to be able to do laser engraving and CNC and dual extruders, where you switch out the heads to do dual extruders, that does add overall cost to your print in a big way, to your machine. Like the one you're referring to. These are the print heads. These are what you're referring to for the CNC laser and single FDM or dual FDM. This is the one you're referring to, Renee. And these do add cost. So yeah, I have that printer there. I think that's what you're referring to. And if you haven't seen that one, the E-Cube Maker is one I did an unboxing for a while back. And it's a 4-in-1 printer, so it's dual extruder, single extruder, laser. It's a 5 watt, or it's a one output of 1.6 watts output. Blue laser for burning wood or whatever, and it also has a CNC head for a spindle motor for CNC. So that is if you check back on my live unboxings, that's actually listed there, the E-Cube Maker 4-in-1 toy DIY. I believe Jim at the Edge of Tech also did a review of that one as well. He did an unboxing and setup of that as well live. They're not a bad little printer, but it only does PLA. It is not designed for anything higher. Its print heads will not go above, I think it's 210. So it's PLA only. Does a sound compared to the entry level? The moving of the x-axis you don't hear. The noisy part is the fan, and the fan is the noisiest part. So I would say Like if you had a non-silent FDM entry level, I would say they are noisier than this. But overall, it's not that expensive, or it's not that's not noisy. The fan is the noisiest part. Now, the printer's here. My microphone is 2 feet from the printer. Can you hear the fans? I don't know if you can hear it. So you're saying you can hardly hear it. So you can hear it somewhat, and I'm 3 feet from my microphone. You can hear me loud and clear. So I'm louder than the printer. But there is noise. You can never get a completely silent printer because there is air required to be moved, and when you have air to be moved, you have air pressure. Air pressure creates noise because you're moving through something, right? And direct drives can be direct drive is not inherently louder, because most of the noise from a printer comes from its stepper controller chips, not the actual motors. The motors make some noise when they make quick movements, but it's not an awful lot. Like you hear a little zip sound, like whoop, whoop, whoop sound as it moves around, but it was making fast movements. But that's inherent to every printer because it's motion, and it's high speed motion. But it's the cooling fans is the noisiest part. You can hardly hear it. We had a tiny humming from the RSD as well from the fans, but the RSD has to move a lot of air, and it's a large case, and it does have to move a lot of air. Again, that does not bother me because you need to move air to cool electronics. If you don't move enough air to cool electronics, you run into other issues where stepper controller chips get too hot. They skip steps. They mess up. They could burn out, and that's the last thing you want. Even though on the printer and the RSD that you mentioned, the RSD chips can be taken out and you can plug in new ones. But still, why go through that if you can just cool it properly and you're okay? So it's the cooling system is the noisiest part, and you could change them with larger fans that are quieter movement. But as long as they move the same amount of air, you should be okay. But it's about air movement. The amount of air you're moving is the important part. I can hear it, but it's not that bad. It's not so bad. Like, I'm right beside it, and it is a cooling fan is what I really hear, and I hear the head move a little bit, like the zipping sound, as I said. But the motion itself is quiet. Like if I was sitting 4 feet away from it, because you won't be sitting right beside it all day long. If I was sitting 4 feet away from it, my guess is I'd barely hear it. I'd hear the fans a little bit, but that's about it. So I think it's a decent machine for initial views, and I don't see any bad print quality. It's starting to do some claws right now for the owl. So we're getting into the owl part of the print, but I don't see. First look is I'm worried about the lack of power supply switch labeling, and the way that the power supply switch is actually mounted to the board, not outside. So you have to put something in to move the switch, and potentially you could, if you do it, you could possibly short out the board because you could see the board from this port. So that should be like most power supplies, and so I'm assuming it's not a Meanwell power supply, but I'm assuming that it's the power supply. The switch should be mounted on the outside and be labeled and easily seen 110, 220. We'll investigate the Z-axis, how it's mounted. But other than that, that and this are my two biggest concerns right now, until I dig into it a little bit more. This worries me a little bit. This worries me a lot more. The power switch. But its print quality seems quite good. So Ultra Proxy said you're going to be doing one later. He's going to have your kid assemble this. They should have no problems. The one thing I will say, when you slide it out, this axis can go below the base. So you have the base here. This Z-axis can actually swing all the way down. Now, that's not good. I would have it come down in a way that it would stop level and not move beyond the base. When you take it out, the z-axis, when you take out the base out of the box, the z-axis doesn't swing down on you, and it can happen. So I had to hold it when I removed it, because I removed the front first. So if I removed the back first, it probably wouldn't have been that much of an issue. And when you do rest on a table, it is resting on your print head. So that can actually rest on that on the surface. So, but that's, if you watch for that, it's not an issue. But if you're not expecting it, when you pull it out, your Z could end up swinging down, and if it swings down enough, you could end up damaging the cables that are actually coming out of the base. Because if it swings down, it could actually go beyond and then pull on those cables. It's a small thing to watch for, but it's something to watch for. But power and this are my two initial concerns. The wobbly print head, concentric nuts. A lot of people go on the forum saying my print head is. They show pictures of them dragging their print head and wobbling all over the place. Do a bit of research, people. They're designed to have that movement, and you use a wrench, do a small adjustment, so it just starts to sit snugly. You're done, right? It's not hard. So, but you have to have some. You have to think about these things, and you have to do a bit of research. People buy printers and some people buy printers and they think it's like a DeskJet or an inkjet printer, where you plug it in and you plug it to the computer and say go, and it works. And they're not like that. 3D printers are not even designed to be like that. They're close, like with some like this, but they're not actually there. You still have some assembly to do, you still have some tweaking to do, you still have some checks to do. And I believe their manual calls it out. Let me double check that. Oh, I never showed you this. This is Lara Croft's hair, or hair braid. That'll be attached to her head. Yeah, there's different color resins. I mixed the resins. So this will attach here to give her longer hair. You've seen the large screen. I left that behind, so just remember me. But let me see if they call out adjusting that the x-axis. I believe they do. If they don't, they should. They don't. Maybe there's a troubleshooting section at the back. Okay, they do not. So, they do not call it out, so it's something you have to watch for. Is when you assemble, the x-axis and the print head may be wobbly, like you saw in mine at the initial print, the initial setup. In that case, there's a concentric nut. 2 wheels in front and top, one on the bottom. The one on the bottom's got a concentric nut. Use your mid-size wrench with the largest opening on it to adjust that to get it right. That's all it is, right? It's an easy thing to fix. But I've seen lots of videos saying this is not working, and they're showing the head and they're doing this to the head, and it looks they're over exaggerating by the way they're moving it. But concentric nut and you're done. It's designed to allow for that movement. Any other questions? Any other comments? This is going to take a long time more. We're only 10% in, and it's an hour so far into the print. So far it looks good. The quality looks decent. I don't see an issue with it. They do have a silicone sock over the heat block to make sure to maintain heat, which is good. So if I don't know, and people want to stay on for another 4 hours, which this is going to take even more than that. 10%. So we have another couple of hours before this print is done. So how about we call it a day, and I will post pictures of this when it's done. Again, reminder everyone, like, subscribe, ding that bell if you haven't done so already. Please do so now before we wrap up. I will post pictures on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter of the first print out of this. It looks good so far, but I'll let it finish and we can make a decision afterwards. And I will knock off a few other prints out of this over the next week or so. But so far, looks promising. Assembly was easy. It's a direct drive, which is a bonus in many cases. You can do flexible materials on this. You can get out your TPU and print your TPU on this. I print a lot of TPU recently for tracks for my Droid. So if anyone has any last comments or questions or whatever, post them in chat right now. We'll address them, and then we'll get ready to do to wrap it up, and we'll see you again on here. So I'll give you a few minutes if anyone has any last comments. But overall, I think it's a decent machine. I don't see a problem with it, and any major problems with it. Two main concerns, which I've already called out. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's not even a review. It's more of a setup, and let's see how it goes out of the box. I will be doing a review after when I run it through many prints. I'll push its limits a little bit on overhangs and extrusions and string and bridging and all this kind of stuff. I'll do some large prints on it and see how it turns out, and we'll see how some printers have issues when they go higher in Z. They run into problems. So let's test out and see how far we go with it. But if there's no final comments, and it doesn't seem to be, I think we'll call it a day. And I said I will post updates on this. And so if you're not already following me on YouTube, you'll find my YouTube page, AstroPrinter. It's on YouTube. Oh, sorry. If you're not following me on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ding that bell. If you're not following me on Facebook, I'm out there on Facebook. You can actually as AstroPrinter. I'm on Twitter as AstroPrinter, and I'm on Instagram as AstroPTR. Right? So if you find me on all those social medias, I will post updates once the print is done, and as I do more testing, I'll post updates out there on how the test print goes. And I did recently get a resin lapse cable. So I recently got a resin lapse cable. So I'll be doing more resin prints coming in the near future. I have some resins coming in, so I will be doing some resin lapses with those. I'll have to do a bit of testing maybe in the next day or two to see how it goes, and if it goes well, I'll be doing some nice good time lapses of resin prints as well. So I think that's it for me. I'd like to thank you all for coming to hang out with us. It was fun. It was good to see this printer, and it is the Fokoos Odin-5 F3. I don't know why I have two numbers in there, but it's the Odin-5 F3 FDM printer, single extruder, dual Z. It's got the print area is, I want to confirm that, make sure that I'm not telling you lies. Let me verify. Just as a quick summary, it's a 235 by 235 by 250, dual Z, 32-bit board, direct drive, 208 steppers, so it's silent steppers, STM32 main chipset, and it's a 3.5-inch touchscreen, and it's printing fine. So let's see how it goes, and I will post updates later on. Thank you guys. Take care, and I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I will see you maybe on a hangout on Wednesday if you come join us, and if not, we will be doing more of these unboxings as new machines come in, and I will also be posting some reviews. So thank you for hanging out with me today. It was fun, and remember, today is Jerry's birthday. Remember to go hang out with Jerry on his live stream. So it's 3D HP, or 3D Printing and Painting, is his Facebook group. The link for the hangout should be posted there, so remember, go hang out with Jerry and wish him a happy birthday. Thank you guys, and have a good day. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay printing. Bye.